Hello everyone, welcome to Zaref Game Dev. In this video, we are going to create the DiskDash game in Unity. So this is another one simple hyper casual game which we are going to work some of the logic for the player and the obstacles. So as we have already done this many times before, so we are going to create this project on the top of the last project we have created, which is I think the fast wall. So we'll copy those assets and we'll reuse those assets and convert it into a new game. So the first thing you want to ask is why am I creating so many games? Each of them has like similar logic and so the point is that if I wanted to create the simple games from the start, I'd have to learn everything, and I already know how to figure out the solutions, but once you get the hang of it, it may take around 2 to 3 hours. And if you don't know, as some of my previous videos, as you have seen, some may take like 10 to 15 days, a month. So it is better to, if you want to create a specific type of game, start from something simple and add variations and try to practice and learn what are you doing, so you will become efficient in it. And after 1 or 2 months, you will be able to create that game in a more better way. And as we all are already starting, so uh, what happens after that is when you created that game, even if you want to add anything complex or simplify or add some more features, it will be easier to add. And that's what we have been doing in the past 15 games, and this playlist will also continue. But after that, I think we are going to start another playlist or another series in which we will decode all the puzzle games that we are going to create. So the project for this I mean, the files for this project will be in my GitHub repository, and it will be also in the link below. And if you want to see from the start how all the games were created, you can follow the whole playlist. So let's see what we have here. So we have empty Unity project opened up, and first thing we are going to do is delete our scenes folder. We are going to start from scratch, and by scratch I mean importing our own assets, which is a working game which we have already created. And what we'll do is we'll go inside. uh, for you, you will go inside the repository and download the fastball game, and inside all of the assets except the text mesh pro, you'll bring it inside our assets folder. So as you can see, we have the editor. I'll delete the editor right now because the colors we are going to use from our current project, which is going to be the project for uh, this one. And I'll bring in my assets from my current project. So the colors we are going to use are the latest ones, so that's why I'll need the latest colors, and we'll hit don't save, and it will tell us to import text mesh pro. So this is our basic game, and we have not changed anything, so it is showing some errors. And to have our game start working, so the first thing we are going to do is change our platform to Android, and after that we'll add both of our scenes to the game. So it is taking a little bit of time, and before that, let's see what we are going to. Yeah, let's just have it import everything. So it will refresh our settings, and inside our project settings, for our time, let's set it to 0.005 so the movements are smoothed out. And toolchain management, let's disable it. We don't need it. It's for Linux or Linux systems or so. And we'll need to disable the warnings for our text mesh pro. So it will recompile our scripts and hmm, if we finally disable our warning, the character will not show. That warning will be gone because we are disabling the warnings. I don't know where the underline is used, but it may show up sometimes. And after that, inside our editor, let's change the prefab naming to /. So even if you don't use it, it doesn't matter. And let's add both of our scenes to the build. And finally, what we are going to do is remove all the unnecessary packages so it won't fill up our project. So we are going to need only total of 4 packages and one our Visual Studio Editor package. So this is the 2D Text Mesh Pro Timeline UI. Yeah, these are the 4. So we'll remove the rest of the packages. So 2D is going to need for rendering all of our sprites, Text Mesh Pro for our text. Timeline, it's going to be needed because we are using some animations. So unable to remove package. Okay, yeah, it was already removed. So let's try removing the rest of the packages. Version control and visual scripting, that is the most heaviest one. So if you try building any project with visual scripting turned on, it will automatically import all of the assets, and by default the project stripping is not turned on. And as you don't know what happens when it builds with removing all the unnecessary packages, we are going to build everything we are going to need. So that's why we'll just remove it. And that should be all of our packages, including our editor package. And finally, the project setting should be done. And there's an issue with the tags. So I think, yeah, the tags are still there. And if we try to add a tag, there's also a tag there. But if you go inside of the original project, which will be inside the project settings folder, then I think inside the tag manager, our tags are not added. So that's also one more issue I'd like to address. So the final, how would I like to say? So we'll need to, I think, mm, remove the tags, and after build it may work sometime. So let's see how we'll. For now, the game's going to work. That's not going to be an issue. So let's see how our game works right now. So this was the previous game we created in the last video, and let's hit play and let's see if our game works correctly. So everything's working perfectly fine. There are no issues. It is already detecting collisions, even though the tags are not there in the original script file, but they are inside the project. So let's start editing this project. We are not going to recreate everything because it will take much more time. And uh, as a programmer, we do not repeat ourselves. So we are going to create on top of it, and let's rename it to DiskDash. And the only thing we need to do is change the color of this one and change the color of all 3 of our images. And for now, let's have it at free aspect. So this is the starting screen. Now let's go inside our gameplay screen and we'll change the color first. And similarly, inside our game manager, for the colors, we are going to have only 2 colors, and these are going to be our blue and the yellow ones. Now let's also change it for our canvas, and that's it for the colors. Now, where should we start changing first? So the first thing going to be our player logic, which is going to be handling the score logic. So for this game, we are not going to need that score, so we'll start editing that. And for our player, the move positions are going to be changed. So let's see how the move positions are going to look. And what we'll do is we'll first delete all of our obstacles or scores, whatever it was. And let's also delete our score. So we'll first edit our obstacle, and in this game the obstacle and the score both are similar, so we'll duplicate our obstacle and change its tag to score. Nothing different going on. And also the script will also be needed to change, even though both the scripts are similar, as we already the project structure done correctly, we are going to use it. So let's first set up the settings for our player. So our player is going to be positioned at 6.4 and 0, and its size it's going to be 1.6 and 1.6, so it is correctly sized. And after that, the move positions are going to be only 4, and the first one is the 6.4 and 0, which our player is currently right now. The next one is going to be negative 6.4 and 0, and finally it will move downwards, which is going to be 0, negative 6.4, and at the last it's going to move upwards. So nothing changed here, but when we hit anything, it is going to move like negative, positive, then downwards and upwards. So this is going to be our player movement. And to see that player movement, we are going to create an empty, and let's call it 1. And this one is going to be positioned at 0, but instead of a score, we are going to have some background, which is a move point, and we are going to create that move point first. So let's create an empty, and we'll call it move point. And we'll need to save this as a prefab, and we'll need to create one more tag, which is going to be our move tag, and let's edit it inside the prefab. So this is our move point, and it is just an empty circle, so let's add a sprite renderer, and its order in layer is going to be the most backwards cause it's in the background. And for our sprite, we are going to use the circle sprite. Its color it's going to be black, but the transparency is going to be 25, or let's have it at 64. And its size it's going to be 5 cross 5. Now, as you can see, currently our move point is at 0. We'll move it to 6.4, and this is going to be a background. And currently it's still too dark, so let's have it the move point transparency to be set to 32. Maybe 64 is better. 48, yeah, 48 looks better. And currently we have our first move point. What we'll do is duplicate it 4 times. The first one is going to be at negative 90-degree rotation, and third one's going to be at 180-degree rotation, and the final one's going to be at 270-degree rotation. So these are just like spokes, and we just change the rotation, so every move point is similar. Now our move point is also going to need a box collider 2D. So let's go it inside our scene, and its size is going to be 2 cross 2 and its X position is going to be 1.5. So whenever our player is going to collide, it will move from any one of the directions and it will start hit. And whenever it hits this collider, which needs to be set to a trigger, when it triggers the collision, it is going to like mm, mm, trigger a move sound, or what do you call, just spawn a move sound. And that's it for our move point. Now let's start changing our obstacles. So its sprite is going to be block, color is going to be our dark color, and the size is going to be 2 cross 1.28. And similarly its box collider, its size is going to be 3.28 cross 1.28. And after that it needs to be a set to trigger, and there is going to be some obstacle script, and we'll change 15 negative 15 negative 15 15 and negative 15 negative 15. So these are going to be our spawn positions. It is going to have one more parameter for our rotate speed, but let's just leave it there only. Now we are going to create a circle, which is going to be at position 1. Instead of simple, let's make it sliced, and order in layer is going to be similar, and it is going to be 1.28 cross 1.28. And if we use the similar color, as you can see, this will create our obstacle. Now this was our obstacle, and if we duplicate the obstacle and we'll rename it to score and change the tag to score, and finally the script we are going to use is, instead of our obstacle, we are going to use the score script. And it has a couple of things set up, but we are going to change our script, so it doesn't matter. Now the only thing we need to change is the color, which is going to be our pure white. So this is our move point, this is our obstacle, and this is our score. So we have all three of them set up. Now let's start editing the scripts. So let's go inside Visual Studio and let me reload. And we'll sequentially change all of the scripts. So let's go inside script, audio manager, no changes, constants. We added a new constant, and it is going to be public const string move, and we renamed it to move. So whenever it detects the tag, it is going to play our move sound. And we don't need to select a random score, and it will start showing us couple of errors. So the first one will be inside, it is not inside the mono behavior. Where is it? Setup score. This script doesn't needs to be called. And the next one will be the game start and end. So current score ID. So no changes there, cause our score is average score is similar. And there should also be errors inside our player. Are there not? No, there should be errors inside our score. So our score, we will first delete our whole script, and our score is going to be similar to our obstacle. So let's start editing our obstacle script. So what our obstacle is going to do is it will spawn at one of the spawn positions. So pause index, and both of them we are going to have it here only. And is left and move speed, we will set it up later. And similarly is left is also not needed. And max offset, move speed, and destroy time. So we'll need the move speed. We'll also need the rotate speed. Uh, we are also going to need our destroy time. Hmm, it looks too bad. Let's have them. So serialize field. Then we are going to have private float rotate speed, serialize field, private float, max offset, and finally on our rescale we are going to have serialize field, private float, destroy time. So this is going to be for the destroying. This is when the game ends. This is inside our fixed update, and it is going to set our starting position. And we also need a private vector3 for our move direction. And what our move direction is going to be -1 multiplied by spawn pose dot normalized. So it is going to opposite inside our move direction. Everything else is going to be similar. And similarly, we are also going to rotate transform dot rotate, and we are going to rotate the rotate speed multiplied by time dot fixed delta time in our forward direction. I mean, with respect to the forward direction. Hmm, hmm, hmm. So it will rotate in the z-axis. And that was our obstacle, and our obstacle is having a similar logic as our player. So we'll copy this whole script and put it inside our score. And next we'll need to change our player logic. So uh, if else if both of this does not work, so let's delete that, and we'll need to update the score. If it collides with the score, let's delete the else if. And collision dot game object dot get component, and we are going to get the score component and on game ended, so it will destroy that score. And similarly, if collision dot game object dot compare tag constants dot tags dot move, then what we will do is audio manager dot instance dot play sound, and we are going to play our point clip. So it will automatically play the point sound. And when we hmm, yeah, so when we click, instead of setting move magnitude to -1f, what we'll do is we'll create a variable is slow, and we'll check if it is slow, then it will be set to 0.2f, as it is going to be set to 1f. And before that, we'll set the is slow to not is slow, and we are going to create that boolean first. So private bool, where is the boolean, can shoot, yeah. So we'll create our boolean here, private bool is slow, and when our game starts, we are going to set our slow to false, so it starts at maximum speed, and our move magnitude to be 1. Movement logic is similar, there is no change there. All we did was change the move magnitude and uh, just created a boolean, so it automatically detects and sets up the move magnitude. And I think everything else is going to be same. Now let's go inside our game manager, and inside our obstacle spawning we have obstacle prefab, and we are going to have our score prefab. And instead of instantiating the obstacle prefab, we are going to instantiate a score prefab, which will need to create it. So where spawn prefab, it is going to be unity engine dot random dot range from 0 till 4 is equals to 0. Then we'll use our obstacle prefab, else we are going to use our score prefab. And we'll need to add both of those prefabs, and we'll need to uh, change both of them when we instantiate it. And do that, instead of where, we'll just reassign it. So this is the obstacle spawning logic. This is our obstacle logic, which just move, rotates, spawns, and destroys. And we forgot to set the move direction. So instead of v3 dot left, we'll multiply it by the move direction. Similarly, inside our player, v3 dot left will multiply it by the move direction. Player all logic also set up, nothing different here. So game manager is also correctly set up, and I think we should be fine. So let's go inside Unity and let's see what changes we need to add. So inside our obstacle script, for the rotate speed, we'll set it to 180, and similarly 1680 and 25, and destroy time to 0.2, and we'll copy from our obstacles the obstacle spawn pool value and paste it inside our score. Move point is also set up inside our game manager. Currently we only have the obstacle. Let's reassign it. Let's also assign the score. Obstacle and score were set up inside the game manager. The spawning logic is also set up. For our player, if we have anything new, we are also going to set it up. And finally, everything should be working fine. Instead of the starting position, which is going to be for our move distance, we need to set it to 0. So instead of spawning at center, it will spawn at the start, which is negative 6.4. And let's start and let's see what errors do we get, or does it work correctly. So let's hit play. So there's an issue with our obstacle, which needed to be black color, and our score, which is going to be our white color. Nothing more changes. And for a player, we are going at 6.4. So let's go inside our main menu and let's see what more issues are there. So everything's working fine, but the problem is our starting position of 0 created an issue. So we set the move direction to 0f and is slow to false. Okay, so let's go inside Visual Studio. So instead of setting the move direction to 0f, we need to set the current move distance to 0f, and that was the only issue. And this game is also done pretty fast, as you know, we have already done it before. No more changes here. The score system works fine, the color change system works fine. Instead of so instead of directly setting up the color, you can have a function which changes or transitions like depending on the hue, and you can have it set it up like each of the turns when it set it up, and create a coroutine, and it will look good like the stack. And all the variables are not correctly set up, so sometimes the player dies too fast. So that was just the basic logic for this game, and there's nothing too complicated. And as you already done it before, I in the real time when I started it, it only took me around 1.5 to 2 hours, as I already created the game before. And also in this video, as you can see, only the project setup took 10 minutes, and rest of the 20 minutes. I mean, you can understand it like how did we change the logic, what we didn't need, what needed to be changed, and that's how you can like create the simple game in 10 to 20 minutes. And if you guys watched till now, thank you guys for watching. Do subscribe to the channel, and like the video and comment something below. I'll be creating the new series soon, maybe around month or two, but I'll be creating it even if it takes longer, because game development even like if it takes long, it doesn't matter, but if you don't do it, it will be something you will regret it. And that's how game development goes. And thank you guys for watching, and see you guys in the next video.